Hi, welcome to our second week of our Bible lesson for the spring session. This week we are talking about Luke chapter 24, verses 36 through 53. So I'm going to read it and then we'll talk. While they were talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you." They were startled and terrified and thought that they were seeing a ghost. He said to them, "Why are you frightened? And why do doubts arise in your hearts? Look at my hands and my feet. See that it is I myself. Touch me and see, for a ghost does not have flesh and bones as you see that I have." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. While in the joy they were disbelieving and still wondering, he said to them, "Have you anything to eat?" So they gave him a piece of broiled fish, and he took it and ate it in their presence. Then he said to them, "These are my words that I spoke to you while I was still with you, that everything written about me in the law of Moses, the prophets, and the Psalms must be fulfilled." Then he opened their minds to understand the scriptures, and he said to them, Thus it is written that the Messiah is to suffer and to rise from the dead on the third day, and that repentance and forgiveness of sin is to be proclaimed in his name to all nations, beginning from Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things. And see, I am sending upon you what my Father promised. So stay here in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high. Then he led them out as far as Bethany, and lifting up his hands, he blessed them. And while he was blessing them, he withdrew from them and was carried up to heaven. And they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. And they were continually in the temple, blessing God. Now, I want to set the scene for you if you think about what happened. So Jesus had been crucified, and the disciples were, hiding out and waiting to see what was next. And there was a story about the fact that Jesus had risen from the dead from Mary. She told them all about how the tomb was empty, and they were in disbelief. And then Jesus appeared to them one time, and then he appeared to them on the road to Emmaus. Lots of times where they were like hearing stories, and they weren't sure what was going on, and they weren't positive if it was really true. But then Jesus appears to them in person again, and they got scared. They felt like they were seeing a ghost. Now, I've never seen a ghost. I don't really believe in ghosts, but in this time and age, I think that people were a little afraid of things they couldn't explain. And so they were terrified, because how do you explain the fact that your friend had died and now was alive again? So Jesus, to set them at ease a little bit, said, "Look, this is what was written all along. This is what I've been telling you for days and days and days, that this is going to happen. Feel me. I'm a real person. Touch me. Let me eat something in front of you so you can see that I am I. It is me. I have risen from the dead." And so once he did that, then they started discussing all of the prophecies and the things that had been written and the things that had been discussed about why Jesus came to earth in the first place and why he had to die and why he was risen from the dead. And so after all that conversation, kind of like the conversations we have in church, these followers of Jesus finally understood and believed, and then they were sent out to tell the world all about this. And so from that very day, if you think about it, since that day, billions of people have heard about Jesus, right? Billions across the years and across the whole world have learned about Jesus, and his story has been told all the way up until today when you were told about it. So it's kind of an amazing thing, and that was the start of the church as we know it, because they started telling the story of Jesus and sharing with people the amazing, miraculous return of Jesus from the dead and the reason for it, which is that he suffered and was buried and died for our sakes. And the phone is ringing, so I guess that means it's time to go. But I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you next week. Bye.